Welcome and welcome back to my channel. This is Lily Loves Learning, and today we are going to be going over our plans for the upcoming 2026-2027 school year. This will be our 5th grade year and our 6th year homeschooling. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to discuss is what we are planning to do for science. So we are continuing on with moving beyond the page. So as I mentioned last year, the plans for science, we're going to be doing some of the units for 4th grade and then doing 3 or 4 more units in 5th grade. So we're continuing on with that. The next one up in our units is biomes. And then the book that goes along with it. We have space. And then the book that goes along with that one. And then lastly is technology and invention. And then the book that goes along with that. So those are the 3 units that we're going to be doing for sure. The last potential unit, depending if we can get through those 3 early enough, will be the human body. So this is the book that goes along with it. The unit itself we have is digital, so I don't have a printout of that. But if we can get to it this year, then we're going to be doing this unit. And if you are not aware of moving beyond the page, it is a literature unit, and it's more like unit studies. So there's usually corresponding books, but for science, there's also different science experiments. So for example, in the space unit, you can see there are 5 lessons along with the final project. Some of them take more than 1 day to do. And in those, there will be some other experiments to do. So you can see in here, they have the required book, but then they also have for each of the lessons a material list. And to make it easier on us, I went ahead last year and purchased the science kits for both semester 1 and semester 2. So I haven't opened it yet, but this is the science kit for semester 2. So 2 of those units are on semester 2. The first biomes is still in the semester 1 kit, which we've already opened. But if you guys have any questions about what's in the science kit or want to see me open that up and check it out, let me know down in the comments. So that is science. Okay, so next up we are going to go over what we are planning to do for math. So if you have followed us at all or watched any of our prior videos, it should not come as a shock to you, but we are planning to continue on with primary mathematics 2022. So I'm showing you the Mastery and Beyond book first for 5B. We finished up 5B for some of the regular book, just the standard problems. But at the beginning of the year, I want to make sure to do kind of a refresher, a little step up, just to get back into some of the things that she's already learned and to make sure that she hasn't forgotten that over the summer, but also to give her some more challenging problems than we had last year. So this will be for probably the first month, just going over that for review. And then we will be moving on to grade 6. So if you are not familiar with Primary Mathematics 2022, this will look a little different than prior videos that I've had. It changes in grade 6. So they don't have the same home instructor's guide that was read for the prior years. They have a teacher's guide, but then they printed it in black and white to make it more economical. So about the same price as what the home instructor's guides were for the other grades. So this is 6A, so we will start off with 6A. I do not currently have 6B yet, but we'll get that once we get to that point. And then we will be doing the standard student problems for 6A. And then I also have 6B for those. If you guys have any questions on these, I can probably do a more thorough video on grade 6 for primary mathematics. This is one of our, or at least my favorite math programs that are out there. So I can go a little bit more in depth into what's included in there in year 6. And then I also have the grade 6 assessment guide, and this goes for the entire school year. So you just need one assessment guide that will cover both 6A and 6B. And then we also like to do various practice of multiplication, addition, subtraction, fractions in sprint form. And for that, I don't use the primary mathematics sprints, but I use the Eureka Math that's online. And I have some prior videos on that as well. So that is what we are planning to do for math. Okay, and next up we are going to go over our plans for history for this year. So continuing on from last school year, we are going to be doing and finishing up book 3 from Early Modern Times from Story of the World. So we use the activity books. Lightly, we don't do everything in here, just maybe pull a few questions. Sometimes we do the map work and look at some of the pictures that are in there. And then if we got through that this year, then we will start on Story of the World for Volume 4, The Modern Age. So that is our overall curriculum. And then when we get to certain points within that history time frame, we are going to take a little bit of a pause. And that will be for the Americas when we get to colonization and revolution. Then we will be doing the Moving Beyond the Page unit, colonization and revolution. So when we get to the prior to American Revolution and during the American Revolution. And then with that, we have additional resources for the American Revolution. We have the Constitution Decoded. I Survived the American Revolution. This one will probably be a reader for her. And then I'm going to read these. I don't know if we're going to do one or both of these, but we have Johnny Tremaine. And then My Brother Sam Is Dead. So I'm going to read those first and see if we want to do both. And then we will also be doing the Steve Schenken book. I don't have the physical book with me, but it's the King George book. We will be reading that. That will be a read aloud. And then the second part of it is going to be moving on to westward expansion. So again, I don't have it printed. It's just an online version, but for the Moving Beyond the Page, they have a westward expansion. And so for that unit, when we get to it, we'll be stopping the Story of the World and doing that. And then the corresponding readers for that is Going West, Journey on a Wagon Train to Settle a Frontier Town. And then also How We Crossed the West, The Adventures of Lewis and Clark. And we could expand on this, go into a little bit more, but currently that's what we're going to be looking at. And then we also are going to be doing the Which Way to the Wild West. So America's westward expansion there. Okay, so those are our history units. And then as we get farther along in history, we'll probably do additional Moving Beyond the Page units as well, once we get into that modern age. All right, and lastly for this section, I'm going to go over what we're going to do for logic. So nothing extensive. This is just for fun, extra time, is we have the Myrtle, Volume 1. And we have a couple of these books, but just one at a time. This Cloodle, The Case of the Dumpleton Diamond. And they are trying to solve the case with the fun puzzles that are inside. Okay? And so that concludes this video. I'm going to do a separate video for language arts because it encompasses a large amount of different topics. So I'm going to make a separate video just on our language arts. So be on the lookout for that. And thank you. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and leave me any comments down below if you wanted me to dive into anything else a little bit deeper. And thank you for joining. I will talk to you next time. Bye.